Ruth's and Dan's Grand Baltic Voyage, Part 2. On July 11th, 4:45 p.m., we left Tallinn, Estonia, to St. Petersburg, Russia. We arrived in St. Petersburg at 8:30 this morning and were able to dock pretty far up the river. Great picture from the upper deck. Definitely an advantage of a small ship. I think the church in the photo is St. Isaac's Cathedral. Traveling in St. Petersburg was a little different than previous locations, which were all in the European Union. We had to show our passports and other documents to leave the port for town and to return to the ship, and kept our passports with us while off the ship. We did have the option to do some things on our own, but we needed a visa, which would have cost about $200 each. So we chose to do everything with our group and a local guide. We started our day in St. Petersburg with the panoramic tour of the city with a short break at Champ de Mars, right in the center of St. Petersburg. Then off to St. Isaac's Cathedral, the city's largest church. The cathedral's dome, which is gilded with 200 pounds of gold, dominates the city's skyline. The interior, which can seat 14,000 worshippers, is decorated with paintings, murals, and exquisite mosaics. Our group had lunch at Petrusha, a typical Russian restaurant today. Beautiful city. After lunch, it was the Hermitage Museum. This is the line waiting to get into the Hermitage Museum, the largest art museum in the world with over 3 million items. Luckily, we were able to go in front of the crowd. However, inside was crowded too, and this kind of crowd was typical of every place we went today. This city is a very popular place. The Hermitage Museum, the Winter Palace, and the home of the Tsars was built by Empress Elizabeth, who was daughter of Peter the Great. We toured Peterhof Palace and Park today. Beyond lavish. Gold, gold, and more gold. Peterhof was the summer residence of the Russian royalty. Built by Peter the Great and inspired by his visit to Versailles in 1717, it was to be his Versailles by the sea. The beautifully groomed palace park surrounding Peterhof is 250 acres of lush green English and French-style gardens adorned with fountains lavishly decorated with gold. After touring Palace Park, it was time to enter Peterhof. We had to wear booties to cover our shoes while inside Peterhof. After seeing the beautiful marquee wood flooring throughout Peterhof, it was easy to understand why we had to wear booties to cover our shoes before entering. Now off to our next destination. This was a bit of a challenge for our group leader, organizing lunch at a restaurant for the 20 of us in our group. One of our optional tours was of the St. Petersburg Metro. Its construction was started in the 1930s and stopped during World War II and started again in 1945 after the war. It was opened for use in 1955. There are 5 lines at the present, with the 6th under construction. It's as deep as 200 feet. The Soviet era of construction is marked by the hammer and sickle plaques and the workers' sculptures. This scene could have been in a metro in Paris or New York or any metro in the world. While walking and exploring downtown St. Petersburg, we managed to take in part of a violin piano performance in a small park. Very nice. Off to Helsinki, Finland. We left St. Petersburg about 6 o'clock p.m. July 13th and arrived in Helsinki, maneuvering among small islands about 8:45 a.m. July 14th. My description of Helsinki from being here less than a day is a city of islands, parks, forests, technology, university, home of Sibelius, and quietness. We're here on a Sunday. The weather today is perfect. One of the most well known tourist attractions in Helsinki is the Sibelius Monument dedicated to the famous Finnish composer Jan Sibelius. The monument, which resembles a pipe organ, is made of welded, acid proof stainless steel with over 600 pipes and weighs 30 tons. Each pipe has a unique decorative etching and is engineered to have a definite acoustic pitch. Adjacent to the sculpture is the bust of the composer. Our first activity in Helsinki was a bus tour that included their wonderful library. What an impressive place. The architecture of this building was very modern and beautiful. Besides usual things like books, reference and research areas, etc., this library had so much technology available like 3D printers, sewing machines, special scanning equipment, video cameras, high-tech music listening shelves, private rooms for study with video equipment and computers. I could go on with the list. And this is only what we saw. There was more. One of the things we loved about Finland was their philosophy of education. No formal academic education until the age of 7. The playgrounds and areas for small children were as wonderful as this one in the ultra-modern Udi's Central Library in Helsinki. Highest standardized test scores in the world. Schools are free all the way through university with lots of university choices. The last part of the afternoon we spent on our own, exploring downtown Helsinki and the open market near the dock. Then back to our ship. This is the Clio, our home for 10 days of the trip. We are off from Helsinki, Finland to Stockholm, Sweden. And this is the last leg of our trip, so this is our last night aboard. We will miss it. About every other night, we, as all the other guests, after returning from the excursion for the day, found a little gift waiting for us in our room. Strangely, ours was always wearing dark glasses. It took us 4 cute little gifts to recognize them as Ruth's. She hadn't found them since the first morning on the ship and had sadly accepted them as lost forever. The steward had 4 times humorously let us know they were found. Duh. Now to our final stop of our voyage, Stockholm, Sweden. I was impressed with the islands of Helsinki, but less now that I've seen Stockholm, Sweden. Stockholm occupies a cluster of 14 islands floating among 24,000 that make up a 60-mile chain. Our first excursion in the afternoon in Stockholm was to Stadshuset, the romantic city hall building famous for hosting the annual Nobel Prize banquet. It was constructed in 1923 using 8 million red bricks and 18 million chips of gilt mosaic. It was easy walking around downtown Stockholm. Now, this street reminded me of 16th Street Mall in Denver. Pedestrians only, no traffic, not even a bus. Very clean, as all the cities we visited seemed to be. Our farewell dinner was at the Grand Central by Scandic Hotel in Stockholm, the last night of our trip. Tomorrow we leave for Stockholm Arlanda International Airport at 7 o'clock a.m. and then for our first leg home to London Heathrow. This was at the airport in Stockholm. I've never seen such an accommodation for smokers. Check out the sign on the door. Max 6 persons. On Tuesday, July 16th, we departed from Stockholm Arlanda Airport at 11:25 a.m. On Tuesday, July 16th, 2019, we arrived at Denver International Airport at 5:30 p.m. July 16th, 2019, 6 o'clock p.m. We're home.